The rain came down. Like the sky itself was crying. Through the blur of the storm, a car slowed to a stop near an old bus shelter. On the edge of town. The headlights cut through the sheets of water. And that's when he saw her. A woman, drenched from head to toe, clutching a shivering baby to her chest. Her shoulders trembled, but not from the cold. Something inside her had already broken. He didn't know it yet. But that night, that one simple decision to stop his car was about to change both their lives, forever. Ethan Reed was used to storms. He'd weathered one 3 years ago. When his wife passed away suddenly, leaving him alone to raise their 6-year-old son, Oliver. Since then, life had been about surviving, not feeling. Work. Home. Sleep. Repeat. Until that night. When he saw the woman in the rain, something inside him stirred. Something he hadn't felt in years. Concern, compassion, connection. He rolled down his window, the cold wind slapping his face. "Hey. Are you all right?" he shouted over the storm. The woman barely lifted her head. Her soaked hair clung to her cheeks as she whispered, "Please, my baby." That was all it took. Ethan jumped out, hurried to her, and opened the car door. The baby's tiny cries cut through the thunder, weak and desperate. Ethan took off his jacket and wrapped it around them both. "You'll get sick out here," he said softly. "Get in the car." She hesitated. People didn't always trust kindness. But one look at her baby, pale and trembling, was enough. She nodded and slid into the passenger seat. He turned the heat on full blast, handed her a towel from the back seat. "Thank you," she whispered, voice shaking. "I'm Ethan," he said gently. "You?" "Lena," she murmured, brushing her baby's damp hair. "This is Grace." They drove in silence for a few miles. The storm raged outside. But inside the car, only the baby's soft whimpers filled the air. Ethan offered to take them to his house just until the weather passed. She tried to refuse, but exhaustion won. When they arrived, he led her inside, set a blanket near the heater, and handed her a cup of tea. She held it like it was the only warmth she had left in the world. That night, after he put Oliver to bed, Ethan found Lena sitting near the window, eyes distant. "You don't have to tell me," he said softly, "but if you want to, I'll listen." She nodded slowly. "I was a nurse," she began, her voice breaking. "My husband died 6 months ago, and last week, my apartment caught fire. I lost everything: my home, my savings, my job. They said the hospital couldn't hold my position anymore, since I missed too many shifts after Grace got sick. I had nowhere left to go." Ethan's throat tightened. He looked at the baby, sleeping peacefully now. "You've been through hell," he whispered. "But you're safe here." For the first time that night, she smiled, faint, but real. Days passed. The storm cleared. But Lena and Grace stayed a little longer. Ethan didn't mind. Oliver adored the baby, and the house once cold and quiet felt alive again. Lena helped with meals, told bedtime stories. And for the first time in years, laughter filled the walls. Ethan found himself waiting for her smile each morning, noticing the way she hummed softly while feeding Grace, the strength behind her gentleness. But peace never stays easy. One afternoon, a social worker arrived. Someone had reported that Lena and her baby were living with an unrelated man. "It's temporary," Lena explained desperately. But the woman shook her head. "You need stable housing, Ms. Torres. Until then, Grace may have to be placed in temporary care." Lena's eyes widened in horror. Ethan stepped forward. "No. She's staying here, both of them. I'll vouch for them. I'll help." The next few days were chaos. Ethan drove to the city, met with officials, and even offered to co-sign a small apartment lease for Lena. But she refused at first. "You've done enough," she said, tears in her eyes. "You and Oliver, you gave me a family when I had none." Ethan looked at her, really looked, and said, "Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when no one else does." Weeks turned into months. Lena found a new job at a local clinic. Grace grew stronger, laughing more each day. Ethan and Oliver visited often, bringing dinner, fixing things around her small home. One evening, Lena called them over for dinner. After Grace was asleep, she turned to Ethan. "Do you ever think," she began softly, "that maybe storms don't come to destroy us, but to wash away what's gone, so we can see what's left?" Ethan smiled. "Maybe," he said quietly, "they come to help us find each other." A year later, under the same gray sky that once brought them together, Ethan stood beside Lena as Oliver held baby Grace's tiny hand. The rain began to fall again, soft, almost like a blessing. Lena looked up at him and whispered, "If you hadn't stopped that night." He smiled, brushing a raindrop from her cheek. "I think we both found what we were looking for." And as the rain continued to fall, two broken souls stood together. No longer lost. No longer alone. Just a man, a woman, a child, and a baby. Proof that even in the darkest storm, hope always finds its way home.